Warning, the following program is extremely janky. Viewer discretion is advised.
But like you could lose weight fast on that.
Yeah,
shit.
man, I also haven't tried like smoking crack. So
Are we shooting already?
the cameras are on this time,
Oh.
actually. Yeah, you see for yourself.
You know what? I don't know what the f I'm looking at. I wouldn't know either way, right? I look like I'm body shaming on camera here, boy.
I would be more upset about being called a mobile game whale than somebody just saying, dude, you're fat as hell. Or
You're
no,
a fucking Candy Crush cock.
Those are fighting words. Let's go.
Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobel Priest Prize would be a very...
Peace Prize.
I mean, I don't know about that one. Yikes.
So that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I
move,
think he
man.
won. He's like, chest speaks for itself, and just like walks off and like went to the bathroom.
All right, it went from being cool to pathetic. Went to go hide in the stall. Chest speaks for itself, and my IBS is acting up.
Well, the joke was more chest speaks for itself, and I gotta evacuate some technology out of my butthole right now.
It's like the halcyon days before.
The orange one.
The stuff that he gets away with saying is just wild. I call him Ada. I can't say why. I'll get in trouble. It's very clearly ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. Like he's basically calling the guy
The R word.
Yeah. I feel like there's a Z in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember.
It's jank all the fucking way
Jank
down.
all the way down. Yeah.
So this is a random question, and I don't mean this. I'm just gonna say it. Have you ever thought about trying Ozempic?
I'm glad you prefaced that. No, I haven't. No.
Well, no, but I mean, like, it just seems like it'd be such a fucking. I mean, maybe I'm too much of a shortcuts guy, you know what I mean? But like, you could lose weight fast on that.
Yeah,
shit.
man, I also haven't tried like smoking crack. So I haven't tried
Why
that
Ozempic
either.
isn't bad, I don't think.
Is it? I don't know. I thought there was some shit about like bone density loss or something. I don't know. I'm
Okay, just fucking
big old citation.
add a little
meeting.
trend to your diet, you know,
Yeah.
and balance it out.
Yeah, I should get my T levels checked, man. I'm just curious.
It's a good thing to do. Are we shooting already?
Yeah, we're going.
Oh shit!
The cameras are on this time,
Oh.
actually. Yeah. You don't have to trust me. You can actually see for yourself.
You know what? I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. I wouldn't know either way, right?
The big blue thing that says stop recording, it means it is recording.
Okay, that's good to
We
know.
got two of those, so we're good.
Now I know what to look for.
We're golden.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, now I've been fucking seen to be. I look like I'm body shaming on camera here, boy.
We don't have to include that. But actually, I don't even care.
I
if we
probably
do.
will include that, buddy. I went fucking hard, and I was like, I made enemies of the entire country of Austria last episode.
Yeah, sure,
so
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. What are my feelings if the country of Austria the whole country of Austria can be offended?
yeah. So, well, and you know what? It'll be like, it won't be overweight people or Austrians per se that'll be offended. It'll be overweight Austrians who'll be like, "Hey, that's a line
That's the
too
last
far."
straw. I'm out of here. Notice how I didn't even attempt an Austrian accent.
Yeah.
Just be the Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was from Austria.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's like a typical Austrian voice, though.
Yeah, he's pretty.
Or if
I think
that's just-
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think he sounds like a.
An Austrian? Is that what
He
you're gonna
sounds like an
say?
Austrian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because actually he's evil because he's a badass. I'm actually a big fucking. It's funny because I spent like all episode talking shit about Austria,
Yeah.
and then I'm like the only Austrian I can think of. I'm like, well, that guy's like fucking great. You
Yeah,
know what I
Arnold
mean?
W.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Plus, it's also because he's from a previous era of politics where it's like there wasn't this massive extreme. He was a Republican governor of a blue state, right? Like he's a Republican that believes in climate change. Like he's like
Yeah.
a unicorn in today's world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like the halcyon days before.
The orange one.
The orange one.
So where do you want to start today, buddy?
Well, I'm rocking my Fallout 76 shirt. I don't remember. I think I got this for free from a GameStop or like an EB Games. I think they're just like, hey, you want a shirt? And I was like, yeah, I'm like a 2X. You got one of those? I guess in retrospect, of course it's a GameStop. They're gonna have 2Xs. But Starfield just came out. At least so it came out in early access, but not the early access you're thinking of. Okay, so I hate this because early access used to mean like the game's not done, but you can play it now anyway.
Right.
Think RimWorld, Kerbal Space Program. No, there's tons of them. I was about to say No Man's Sky, but that game was just broken when it released. But
Yeah.
but in this case, early access means you bought a better version of the game, a better edition, like a special, super special premium good boy edition, and you get to play it a week early. Yeah, that's. I'm not a fan of this trend in modern gaming. Like,
You mean con artistry? You're not a fan of con artistry?
no, I'm not. No, it's like
That's horse shit.
yeah, just completely taking advantage of
Bravo Sierra, if you will.
based Sierra.
Based Sierra. Remember Sierra games? Sorry, I don't mean to get off track.
Do I ever?
Fucking right. It's like Caesar, and there was Pharaoh, I think, was a big one.
Didn't they make Myst?
I think they did. You're right. They made Myst. Did you ever play Dust?
No,
It was
never.
like Myst. It was like the same sort of like you were like, the panels where you would walk one, and you go and solve mysteries. Except there's actually other people in it. It wasn't just completely barren
alone on an
island.
island. Yeah.
But it was like that, and it was take place in like a old West town. It was really neat. You could go play poker and shit. Yeah, it was a fucking awesome game. Anyways, back on to Starfield.
Yeah. So Starfield just came out into early access. So it officially comes out on September 8th, I want to say, but people get to play it on September 1st if they bought the.
If they're a fucking
if they're
Mark.
yeah, they're a whale. I'm sure you've heard that term before, right? A whale.
I just assumed that was more fat phobia.
No, it wasn't. No, even if it was, I'm allowed to say it. It's coming from me.
We're allowed to say that, okay?
Yeah.
You can't say that. We're allowed to say
it's
that.
our word.
I heard it in respect to like I think like crypto, where it's like a whale is like a big investor who can fucking dump a bunch of shit on a market. But that's obviously a different.
It's kind of it's kind of the same concept. So it comes from the idea of like little fish, big fish. So like if you. It was really a big thing in like mobile games, like free to play type mobile games, where it's like you have the little fish who download the game and play it and don't really spend any money, or maybe they spend like $1 or like $5 or something. And then you have the whales who come in and they spend, thousands of dollars on mobile. These are like oil barons.
It's
These are
it's an 80-20 rule kind of thing where 20% of the market produces 80% of the revenue.
It's probably more of like a 95-5 rule in this case, but that's generally, that's the idea, is that like the non-paying players are subsidized by the paying players because the paying players spend so much damn money. There's a big rabbit hole we could go into about, probably won't right now, but about kind of monetization in video games and how it's changed over the last years, largely because of companies having whole divisions, maybe not divisions, but whole kind of departments that are dedicated to like market research and like player psychology and like using science. I would say like dark science, like dark pattern type stuff to kind of take advantage of human psychology to get people to spend more money. So like
loot boxes.
Yeah, loot boxes. Exactly. That's the perfect example. But anyway, so if you bought the premium edition of Starfield, you're a whale. Sorry. You're not a whale like I'm a whale.
Yeah.
You're a whale like, yeah. Anyway.
In an even more derogatory sense.
Yeah. I would be more upset about being called a mobile game whale than somebody just saying, dude, you're fat as hell. Like, I'd just be like, okay, yeah, that's fair. Like, yeah. But if it's like, you spend thousands of dollars on Diablo Immortal.
You're a fucking Candy Crush cuck. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, those are fighting words. Let's go. But anyway, so Starfield just came out, and I don't think I'm going to get it. I don't think I'm going to buy it. That's kind of strange coming from me because
you're a fucking whale or what?
Not just because I'm the dork wearing the Fallout 76 t-shirt, but I've played every Bethesda game like since the Fallout 3, like, or Fallout, I guess Obsidian did New Vegas and Bethesda did 3. Right?
Well, didn't you play Oblivion?
I played Oblivion, yeah.
You played Morrowind?
Played Morrowind, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's way before fucking Fallout 3.
Yeah,
boy.
yeah, true, yeah.
Like Morrowind, that's 99 for the computer and then 2001 or something like that.
Although I didn't play much Morrowind because I got to it pretty late.
Yeah.
And there was just better stuff.
That shit changed my life for the negative for sure.
Yeah.
That shit turned me into a whale. Fucking Morrowind's the gateway drug. Now I'm just spending my money on Candy Crush like a fucking whale, right?
Candy Crush Elder Scrolls crossover when?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get it. Yeah.
So why?
Well,
tell me more.
Well, a couple of reasons. So some people say there's that, Bethesda charm of like, like you do
things no clipping through walls.
Yeah, you play the opening cutscene and a guy just like is NPCs missing, but the way that their engine handles dialogue is it plays the line. This is really funny, actually. So, and I observed this in Starfield. I was watching somebody play the first like 10 minutes of Starfield, and then this bug happened to them. But it's a bug that happens a lot in their engine, probably other engines too. But the way that it works is the way they do dialogue is each line that a character has is like a recorded sound file, right? And what they do is the NPCs in the world are like the source of the audio file. So like it plays there, and then wherever you are, you hear it in stereo according to that. So like if the person's standing to your right, you hear it to your right, etc. Right?
Yeah.
And the volume
like a
changes.
light source, but for audio.
Exactly like that. Yeah, exactly like that. So there's this bug where sometimes if an NPC is not present in a scene, like if an NPC bugs out and they don't appear, or they like appear, but they appear like under the ground somewhere, like way, off the map, their audio line will play, but it'll play using them as a source, so you won't hear it because it'll be too far away. So you'll be in this kind of in-game cutscene. It's not really a cutscene. You're watching it unfold, and like NPC A says their line, and then like 5 seconds pass, and then NPC A says another line that's in response to the line that should have just played, but that you didn't hear. So it's like this really weird one-sided conversation, and it's just but in this Starfield intro, the way that I saw it happen, and I'll avoid spoilers just in case there's anybody who actually wants to pick it up, but there was 2 NPCs.
There's any fucking whales in the audience.
I mean, it comes out legit on Friday, so yeah. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, right. This game's buggy as hell. In the intro.
Oh yeah, Todd Howard. Yeah,
yeah, Todd Howard. It just works. Yeah. Right. So in this intro, there's these 2 NPCs who are not only talking to each other, but they're like physically interacting with each other, which I think is pretty novel in terms of what they've done in their engine in the past. Like I'm trying to think in like Fallout 76 or Fallout 4. Any like in-game cutscenes where characters are talking to each other, they kind of just like stand around.
Yeah, they're not
right?
like passing a cigarette.
Yeah, they don't like hands. Like if they're gonna give somebody something, it's that janky ass animation where it's like they stick their hand out and it disappears, on the other person's hand. It appears in their hand. They put their hand in their pocket, it disappears again. So I think this is like a relatively new thing for their engine, or something that they haven't tried often. Which props, right? But this glitch happened where one of the NPCs was missing. So not only was the dialogue like one-sided dialogue, and this one character's like walking around, but then they like the one character like is going to like affix like a backpack onto the other person, like help them out, kind of like you have like a spacesuit, somebody helps you into it, right? So the first NPC's like talking to the other one and like going to help them put their backpack on, and they grab this backpack and they hold it up, and just as they go to like put it in the air in front of him, it like disappears. So I guess it's like if the character was there,
it would be attaching.
It would appear as attached, to the person. And that happened a whole bunch of times where stuff was just like appearing and disappearing. It's fucking look janky as hell. But I watched somebody play. I watched a couple people play, just like the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game. And it just, that Bethesda charm, quote unquote charm, is definitely there. But I don't find it to be as charming as I did 10 years ago when I was playing Skyrim. And I'm not sure why, actually. Like, I think part of it is that, like, I had the time and patience for it years ago, but now it's like I got a family, I got a kid, I got a career. Like, I'm not just.
I don't got time for no clipping. And fucking
like if the shit doesn't work, like I don't have the time to just sit around and be like, wow, that was really funny. I lost an hour of my life, but that was funny. Yeah. Like some autosave glitches out, and it's like, remember playing Fallout 4 in like survival mode? It was so like you had to
sleep to save.
Yeah, you had to sleep to save, and sometimes the game would just crash, and you hadn't saved because you hadn't slept, so you just lose so much time. So I never play that shit without autosave anymore because that's just stupid. Like
they had like mods and stuff where you could have like, because that was one of the things that was kind of jank about survival mode, was that whole save function.
Yeah. So
you could get ones where it'd be like a holotape that you could play that would be like a save file. That's like stuff like that. But yeah, that reminds me of I think it was in Fallout 3. There was like a DLC or something like that where you would take this metro, the presidential metro or some shit, to some other location.
Right.
I don't remember the details exactly. I think it was to like an Air Force base or something.
That was the Brotherhood one. I think.
That sounds about right.
I can't remember what it was called.
Oh yeah, maybe was that Operation Anchorage? No.
I can't recall. Ages ago.
Point is in order to make, because there were no vehicles in the engine. I don't know if you heard about this.
I have. I love this fact.
Yeah.
Go on.
And so it's an NPC wearing a hat underneath the rail, and you're actually getting into what's basically you're interacting with a guy who's called Metro Car Rail Car.
Yeah.
That's just the title of an NPC who's
or
wearing
his
a
name
hat.
is like Enter Metro or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, and then when you interact with him, it's like you sit above his head or whatever. You stand above his head and like, yeah, I love shit like that though. To me, that's not jank. That's ingenuity.
That is ingenuity.
That is like, damn, like you did.
That's good jank. That's embrace the jank.
Yeah,
That's
that
like
is true embrace the jank.
Yes.
I watched a video a while ago about there was some code. So somebody was doing like a code deconstruction of, I want to say Quake, the original Quake game, and they found that so through some consequence of the engine, they were having to make some kind of mathematical calculation for some physics or some ballistic calculation or something, and they needed to do an inverse square root of a number, and it was just too slow. Like they couldn't perform the calculation fast enough with the technology they had at the time. And so they actually invented, or quote unquote invented, like a new way to calculate the inverse square root of a number by abusing this property of binary numbers, where they could, there's this, I think I've told you before about bit flipping, like cosmic bit flipping.
Yes.
Like ray of the sun, cosmic radiation, like turns a 0 into a 1. Excuse me. But there's these like mathematical properties you can observe from numbers in binary, where to perform certain operations, you can flip a bit to either a 0 or a 1, or you can do, there's some weird properties where it's like you can sum the digits, or you can sum alternating digits or stuff like that, where it's like, because of it being a base 2 system, it translates into other number systems. It's really weird and hard to explain, but basically they found this like really novel way to calculate an inverse square root that nobody had ever done before. And it was just like some guy at a computer in an office, like building Quake, just like figured it out and put it in the game. And that was it. Like nothing else came of it until years later, where we're just like, holy crap, like this is actually genius. Like this is incredible that somebody figured this out. But that's what that reminds me of, is those old days where it's like, I love to quote Mark Rosewater all the time. One of his most famous quotes is, restrictions breed creativity. He says that when you're designing a game, you shouldn't have no restrictions, because when you put restrictions on the player, they're forced to solve their problems in different ways. And this is an example, I think, of like IRL restrictions breed creativity, where it's like, you don't have good enough computers to just, your game has to be optimized, because if it's not, people can't play it. It's not like today where it's like, fuck it, they got a 3070 Ti.
Exactly.
That graphics card can handle anything. Just fuck it. Who cares if it's optimized or not? So, yeah, I like that. It's nostalgic a little bit.
So, just a little bit of caretaker stuff. I realized we forgot to clap sync.
We did forget to clap sync. We just do it right now.
Yeah, we should
work
do
backwards.
It.
There you go. I don't know if you want to keep that out.
Oh, I'm definitely
Okay.
working that in somehow.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, so
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get it. The charm is not. It's not as charming as it used to be. It just looks
there
a
must
bit
be
too
more
jank.
to your grievance than just simply,
well, there is, yeah. Like I don't know, something about that formula. It still seems very formulaic. It's like when I played, Diablo 2 versus Diablo 3 versus Path of Exile versus Diablo 4 versus fucking any old goddamn ARPG that's out nowadays. They're all ARPGs. Like they differ in some key ways, but they're all fundamentally the same genre of game. And so if I'm not feeling an ARPG, it's not likely that I'll feel any of those ARPGs. And this isn't to say that the genre that Starfield is in is not appealing to me. It's more just like Bethesda games, and they're kind of in their own genre of their own subgenre of RPGs, that they have all these very particular characteristics, where it's like The physics always feels kind of the same. The combat always feels kind of the same style of combat. Interacting with NPCs and the way the quests are designed and like the way the environmental storytelling happens. It's like there's only so many fucking skeletons with an empty bottle and a Bible beside them that you can be like, oh, let me read the fucking log to see how this guy died. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
oh god. December 1, 2071. I left for supplies and I heard a strange noise. Like, fuck, man, let me leave. Yeah, so there's only so much of that shit I can take. And then that combined with the fact that the games that I've been playing lately, you know, you can say what you want about like I've been playing a lot of Overwatch 2, for example, right? And there's a lot of people who have complaints about Overwatch 2, totally rightfully so. The monetization is kind of jank. They have a real hard time with balancing heroes. But, you know, the game works. Like, it fundamentally works. There's very, very few bugs that I encounter.
Just works.
It's a polished game. It actually just works. It doesn't Todd Howard just work. It, like, actually just works. And, like, I've been playing a lot of, like, Don't Starve Together. I don't know if I told you about that one, but it's like the OG Don't Starve, but it's more for, like, multiplayer and stuff. My wife and I play it with some friends.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that there is an Overwatch 2.
Yeah, well, that's its own whole thing, because it kind of isn't. Like, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. So, like, Overwatch, basically what they did was Overwatch 2 was kind of like Overwatch, like, 2.0, in the sense that, like, it's not like Fallout 2, Halo 2. It's like, you know, Overwatch 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, and then it's like, all right, big content patch, Overwatch 2.0.
Oh,
so
I
it's
see.
it's not a sequel.
Well, and what is
like,
there to sequelize anyways? I don't think that there's even is there a main storyline you can even play?
So here's the thing. Originally, there was going to be a series of kind of like campaign missions that they were going to do. And it was going to be this whole expansive, like,
because there is a lore to it.
There is, and the lore's pretty good.
Interesting,
Like, it's
yeah.
interesting, yeah. But there was going to be this whole kind of storyline spread out across these campaign missions in this kind of campaign mode where you could play by yourself or with your friends, and there was like skill trees that you would level up and all this kind of stuff, hero progression, and they scrapped it. And the reason that they provided was that they basically said, we don't think we can do it. Like, we don't think we can accomplish it the way we want to, so we're just going to not do it. And instead, we're going to just focus on it as a multiplayer shooter and release these one-off co-op missions every once in a while as part of the battle pass, and that's it. And a lot of people were pissed off about this because it was already arguable that the Overwatch 2, quotation marks, was not really a sequel. But once they stripped this was like the whole thing. Like, this was like the main difference that they were bringing to the table. The two main differences were Overwatch was 6v6. All of the game modes were 6v6, and the meta was usually 2 tanks, 2 healers, 2 DPS. And then in Overwatch 2, they changed it to 5v5, so the meta basically changed to 1 tank, 2 healers, 2 DPS. And that was a good change. I think most people agree that that was a really good change. A lot of the time, Overwatch felt like just bullet sponge battles where you just have 2 tanks on a team, you're just like fighting to just get a breakthrough. And what most games ended up devolving to was like, you know, whichever team kind of had the biggest coordinated burst of damage and like utility abilities and stuff like that, like ultimate abilities at the same time, whichever team could coordinate that better would just win. Because aside from that, it was really hard to break through having 2 tanks on a team.
Yes.
So anyway, so they changed that to 5v5, and that was a pretty well regarded change. But then the other massive change was this ongoing campaign, and they just scrapped it. So now it's like, what the fuck? Like, is this even a sequel? And in my eyes, no, it's not. But it's still fun. It's a fun game, and it actually just works.
Yes.
So I think that going back to my original complaint, I don't, even the games that I play, like I play a lot of NHL 23, right? And 24 is actually coming out around the corner, but I play a lot of NHL, and that game's got bugs. Like, that game's got a decent amount of bugs. And when they show up, it's like annoying as hell. It's like, it upsets me. I like Switch games. And this is NHL. There's no substitute. Like, you want to play a hockey game, you're going to play NHL. Like, that's what you're going to play. So it's like, the bugs, even just small bugs where it's like, this is just annoying. Like, I'm just going to stop. I just stop playing. I just switch to something else that works. It's like, yeah. So and I guess the other thing too is it does seem like it would demand a lot of time from me to play Starfield because it's very much being advertised. Like Pete Hines, head of Xbox, he came out and said like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing." And obviously, this is like a CEO guy talking about a first party game. So like, there's probably some fish was this big kind of like exaggeration, but he said he's like, yeah, I'd put like 100 hours in, and I'm like not even done the main story. I'm just like, some people hear that and they're like, oh yes, dude, yes, like so much content. And I hear that, I'm like, holy fuck, if I get to play this like 6 hours a week, it's gonna be years before I finish this fucking game. Yeah. So I just don't. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get it. It's probably not. Doesn't sound that strange from our listeners, but knowing what you know about me playing,
it's definitely one of those things where it's kind of like almost an end of an era kind of thing, where it's like a Bethesda title was like, okay, it's going down, right?
Yeah.
And that's no longer the case.
Well, even Fallout 76, this game was pretty shitty, like as far as games go. But I mean, it ended up like being good enough to play, like good enough to get some time out of. Maybe not for everybody, but I played it a decent amount. Like,
I actually never tried it. I never tried Fallout 76.
You might like it, but it's basically, if you're not going to play with people, it's basically just a worse Fallout 4.
Yeah,
Like,
just like a sparse NPC-less fucking world.
Well, they've added a lot. Initially, yeah, there weren't any NPCs, but they've added content to it since that has added like actual NPCs into the game. But yeah, it's just a worse Fallout 4. It's
Yeah,
not
fuck
really-
that. I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, that's props to Bethesda for releasing a new game finally. But don't think I'm gonna get it.
But L.
Bethesda L. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, Starfield fans. Sorry, whales. Space whales.
Space whales. That sounds like an interesting game concept, actually.
Yeah, it reminds me of what's that? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, all the dolphins and thanks for all the fish or whatever.
Yeah, like the ship transforms into a whale and then a petunia and then I can't even remember. The spaceship has an irregularity. No, what is it fucking called? Improbability engine. It's got some thing where it's like the way that it travels through space is it's like anything is like possible but very improbable. So you like press the button and it like then like extremely improbable things happen. Like in the movie, it's like they press it and like they all turn into like yarn characters or like animals or couches or some shit. I don't know.
It's like a quantum tunneling thing.
Yeah,
where you're
some
like,
weird.
You're trying to trigger a quantum tunneling event, but you might also just trigger,
turn their spaceship into a whale and then a petunia and then back into a spaceship. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big citation needed for messing up that reference.
Oh, fuck. Who cares? Fucking Douglas Adams is dead anyways.
Douglas Adams L.
Douglas Adams got Darwin.
Darwin Award.
Okay, that might not make the cut.
That might not. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we on to next here, buddy?
Well, what do you got? What do you got for me?
Well, I got all sorts of stuff. I can go. Me. I want to go delve into big. Cramey's world of geopolitical fucking nonsense.
Let's go.
So there's reason to think that they're gonna have to re-release Barbie. I think because there's some new changes to the map that China's made that they're gonna want to reflect in the map on Barbie, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah, so China released its new map of its territories, and it includes a new the 9- line is a 10- line with Taiwan on the inside of it, which that's not too different.
Line 2.0.
Yeah, line 2.0. Yeah, but a couple of very interesting things that are kind of put the brakes on bricks a little bit here. They added parts of India and Russia that are recognized as parts of India and Russia to Chinese territorial maps.
Oh my god!
So in India,
what is the logic here?
Well, irredentism is the logic. Expansionism is the logic, right? So in India, the Indian case, they added regions called Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin. So these are both in India that are on Chinese maps now in China, and they're in the Himalayas. So, and I think we've talked before about like the stick fights that happen in the Himalayas.
Literal stick
fights. And it's just, very nonsensical. But it is very disputed territory. It's kind of on the margins of, Tibet, which itself is sort of like a open issue, an open sore, really. Free Tibet.
Based.
And then as well on the Russian side of things, they added there's an island at the confluence of the Amur and the Ussuri rivers. So the Amur River, it forms the international boundary between Russia and China in the Russian Far East. And so there's this island called the Bolshoi-Ussuriysky Island, which is controlled by Russia since like the 19th century, right? Like the Russian Empire fought like the Qing dynasty and took this island from them.
Okay.
During the 200, I think the Chinese call it the 200 years of humiliation or something. So this infinite, because I don't know if you know about the Chinese Russian, they have the unlimited partnership or the infinite. I don't remember what they call it. Some really cringe ass fucking jank ass bullshit. But yeah, so much for that, right? So India came out and officially protested for good reason.
Yeah,
and Russia basically didn't say jack shit because they're a bunch of fucking weak little fucking pussy ass bitches. But they are, well, yeah. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
So it's quite interesting. But I saw a map on Twitter where it's like, okay, India 2.0. And so India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all of China are all part of India. Beijing is now called Beijing-pur. It's quite funny. So yeah, so the Indians are obviously pissed off about it. I think that there's something to be said, as much as I want to criticize Russia, there's something to be said about the nature of these disputes and that they're different. And that's why we see kind of a different response between India and versus Russia. The whole Himalayas thing is a pretty hot dispute, and it's not just a dispute between between India and China, but Pakistan is involved in its own border disputes in the region, and it speaks to, the Himalayas are very strategically important for a number of reasons, whether it be the fact that they're the source of fresh water for 2 billion people, or it's the rooftop of the world, right?
Yeah.
Versus the whole Bolshoi-Ussuriysky Island thing. This is just a random island in the Russian Far East on
there's probably no strategic.
Yeah, very, very limited strategic value. And really, although, Russia would probably claim otherwise, Russian claims to it are not as meaningful as, frankly, Chinese claims are to it, right? This is, if you look at it, the distance from Beijing to this island is probably 1/10 of the distance it is from Moscow to this island. Right. And it's in an area that, the Russians took control of, during the 19th century, during their gradual expansion across Siberia. Right. Versus the whole Himalayas thing kind of cuts to the heart of Indian identity. Right. So, it's an open question to see how that'll go. But I really do think it's another thing to show the nonsensical nature of this whole, the BRICS alliance is coming, right? Because
yeah, it doesn't sound like an alliance to me.
No. And so on a related note, I don't know did you hear about, there's a couple moon landings recently.
Moon landing? No.
Moon landings, yeah. Well, one was a moon landing and one was a moon impact.
Okay, I was going to say, landing is a pretty specific.
Yeah. Well, the Indians landed successfully, right? So this is what's interesting about it, is because India and Russia are both the players in this. India successfully landed a lunar module, so they're the 4th country on the planet to have successfully landed an object.
That's awesome.
It is more big India W's.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to be a bit of a fucking India fanboy lately,
And now, a word from one of our many sponsors.
Unstickable tape. Safe for walls and completely useless. Brought to you by 4M. 4M.
'Cause Johnson & Johnson ain't shit.
I come in more from the angle of any more stuff on the moon is good.
Yeah.
For me, because it's unless it's a specific, if we were in the middle of World War II and Germany landed on the moon, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm not happy with this, but generally speaking, I think it's good for human civilization to just do more space shit.
Yes.
Basically.
Well,
But anyway.
and it's also the question is as well. I mean, there's always a bit of a motivation of like, national prestige, and which isn't the ideal motivation, but it's also by definition is pushing the bounds of science, right?
Mhm.
But I would say so. The other state, like I said, that attempted to land on the moon recently was Russia, and it was the Luna 25 mission, I think it was, which is like a new update to a Soviet series of lunar missions. And yeah, it just fucking crashed right into the side of the moon. There's a big impact crater there now.
Jeez.
So, and unlike you, no, I'm quite happy that the Russian module crashed. And part of it has to do with the fact that, frankly, Russian activity in space, like with everything else, is primarily about imperialistic prestige rather than scientific.
That's fair.
The motivational difference between why India is doing this and why Russia is doing this are two different things. And I would also argue that, in the Indian example, I would say India is truly a rising state in a way that we've imagined China to be, but China really isn't for a number of reasons. China's kind of peaking at the moment and is actually about to enter a period of significant decline. But Russia's well down the path of imperial decline. Again, good. And so I really do see this as very symbolic. The fact that India managed to, actually like successfully land on the moon, and Russia just kind of shot a rocket into the side of the moon and totally fucked up. So back onto border disputes with Russia, because Russia has border disputes with, all of its neighbors because it's an imperialistic fucking,
because it's Russia,
fucking cesspit. So they have a number of islands. They're called the Kuril Islands. And as recently as 2020, Russia was putting more and more weapons on this. So these are disputed between them and Japan. And so recently, Japanese intelligence has indicated that they are in fact withdrawing. I think they were S-300 systems. These are specific air defense systems that are being withdrawn by the Russians, likely for use in Ukraine, because we're seeing the depletion of Russian materiel in the Ukraine, in their aggression against Ukraine. And we're seeing this across the board. Like we're seeing the hollowing out of the Russian military. So that's just another thing that kind of speaks to this erosion in Russian prestige. And just to kind of connect it all together, India, I think I've discussed this before, but I'll talk about it again, has joined this thing called the Quad, which is India, Japan, Australia, and the United States. They have like a working group to basically contain China. And this kind of speaks to that movement, I think, of India. I think India will remain in many ways sort of non-aligned just based on its political composition. But we're seeing India drift further and further to the west, which I think is a very good sign for the world. So those are kind of some news that are kind of going on that front. Let's talk a little bit about the war in Ukraine, the Russian aggression against Ukraine, I should say. I told you about the Russian helicopter pilot who defected with an Mi-8.
Yes.
So we've got an image of him now that's been released.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that.
And he's quoted as saying, "No one wants this war. You'll see when Ukraine wins. It's just a matter of time." So I'm going to pop up the picture of this guy. It's a picture of him with a shirt with the cross of Saint Volodymyr, which is the Ukrainian national symbol. So I think that speaks to where this is all going, but good on him. He looks like a fucking kid. Like he just looks so young, like looking at this.
Probably 23, 24.
Yeah, he's younger than us for certain. Kind of like, when you see this guys in sports, you're a kid, so everybody in sports is an adult too, but then eventually they're all kind of kids because you're older than them, because they're all like, like the oldest ones are in their like early 30s and shit.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Like, I remember watching Connor McDavid get drafted and being like, oh yeah, like he's my age, and it's like, no, dude, he's like 20. He's like 19. Like, oh,
yeah, shit. Looking sunrise, sunset, yeah. Another thing. So, the Ukrainian defense minister has been sacked by President Zelensky. His name was Reznikov. And he had a bit of a mixed record, but there's a number of reasons that there's some issues with, I think, what's the term? when you get material, there's some sort of scandal with material and stuff. There's some discontentment with them. So a new Zelensky has
New guy.
has appointed, what is his name? Umarov or something. I don't have it right up in front of me.
Oh, the Muslim guy.
Yeah, he's a Crimean Tatar. So Yaroslav Trofimov on Twitter said, "Guess Ukraine will be the first country in the world with a Jewish president and a Muslim defense minister." Pretty fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
But I think what's also very significant is the new defense minister is a Crimean Tatar. Now, what does that say to you about Ukraine's intentions over the next couple of years?
Yeah.
We're coming for you, Crimea.
I don't think anyone's given up anything.
No, Crimea will be free.
Yeah.
So, and I don't care what. I saw John Mearsheimer was fucking saying some more bullshit recently. I don't even want to get into that. But yeah, so interesting stuff. I think that's basically everything I had to say about the conflict in Ukraine today.
That's meme on that fucking Cybertruck.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
shit, man.
Oh, buddy.
You sent me this picture. We'll throw it up on the screen, but you sent me this picture of somebody tweeted of the Cybertruck prototype, or I guess concept, versus the one that they actually made, the production model. It's a bit of a yikes. I mean, it was already a bit of a yikes for me.
I mean, we've been memeing on the look of it. It's concept
Oh
look.
yeah, this is like PS2 looking ass. Like,
yeah, that's some
jeez,
fucking
man.
yeah. Some it looks like Laura Croft's like
Yeah.
I don't know how to say this non-misogynistically, but her like geometric tits,
Yeah, the
basically.
triangle chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triangle chest. That's what it looks like. It's like some 1996 PS1
Yeah.
fucking Crash Bandicoot fucking.
Yeah, they had a Polygon budget on this bad boy.
Yeah.
This was made in the times of the train hat in Fallout 3.
Yes.
Probably prior. Yeah, this shit looks jank as hell, dude. I mean, I already wasn't a fan, but it doesn't look good.
It's not even, like I showed you towards the wheel well, you can see that like there's like a segment on the actual production model that just isn't there. Like it cleanly goes into the wheel well kind of cleanly cuts into the door frame on the production, on the concept model. And it looks like you ever go to like a really like sort of just like a slummy apartment and it's like, oh, we just renovated this apartment. You're checking out some fucking cheap ass apartment. You're like, oh, this is renovated. It's like one of those things where it's like they painted over the fucking electrical sockets and shit like that.
Yeah, and like our piece of the framing just doesn't quite go all the way. Like there's just a couple centimeters.
There's all these
like,
places. Exactly. That's what it is. That's what it looks like. It's like, oh, the flooring doesn't fit.
just a
and shit.
miscalculation. I mean, this whole goddamn truck is a miscalculation, dude. Jesus.
I saw a video where it was showing, it was like a Tesla fanboy account being like, oh, a Tesla Cybertruck has been seen towing a trailer. It's a really good sign for, its capacity is to, I guess, do what it's supposed to. It's like, look, our trucks can do truck things.
It's like, I don't even.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that shit. I saw actually I don't know what it was. Was it a Ford? Was it a Chevrolet? I don't remember what it was, but I saw an electric truck the other day where it was like,
Really?
yeah, like they're popping. Fucking Mercedes-Benz is coming for Elon's lunch over here. They've just released a
Well, it's
concept
especially
car.
good for us because we have cleaner, I would say, and like cheaper electricity up here in Canada.
Yeah.
So shit, man, we should be getting a lot of electric car infrastructure. That would be
Manitoba,
killer.
Quebec, British Columbia, all our hydropower provinces. There's a lot of hydro in Ontario, but they
got a lot of nuclear in Ontario.
They got nuclear, but nuclear is good. I mean, I'm pro-nuclear, actually.
Same. Very pro-nuclear.
But I think they're getting rid of their coal, but they still burn a fair amount of coal as well, which is a little problematic.
Like Manitoba specifically, like
Clean
pretty
as
clean.
a fucking whistle.
Pretty
boy.
clean. Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy to hear that. I don't get out as much as you do. So
The whole electrical vehicle thing, it's coming. It's coming. They're coming. And I mean, going back to the towing thing, like the way, I don't know much, I'm not an engineer, right? I'm not a mechanical engineer. But the whole way an electric motor works, it's like super torque heavy, like way more torquey than a conventional like internal combustion engine is for the same amount of power, right? So it's like, wouldn't that indicate that like shouldn't a fucking little fucking Mini Cooper electric fucking be able to tow a fucking thing?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't understand. Like, it was like a little trailer. It was like, look at this fucking big Elon W over here. Like, I think the whole Tesla thing, I really think it's one of those things I was showing you about overvalued companies.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's lost like 40% of its market value in the last like 6 months or a year. But I think it still has a ways to come down a bit.
Wasn't there that other electric car company where you sent me where they just like they lost like billions and billions of dollars in like 2 days?
Yeah, what one was that called? I don't even remember what it was called.
I feel like there's a Z. I feel like there's a Z in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember.
It was one of the, I hadn't even heard of it, and it was like, oh, this was like briefly more valued than the Ford Motor Company.
BlackRock, yeah, they had a higher valuation than FedEx. Like,
yeah, it's like, give me a fucking break.
All right,
an electric car company that has sold no cars and I've never heard of is more valuable than established blue chip fucking corporations.
Yeah, okay,
give me a break. But Tesla's much the same. Right?
Yeah,
Tesla's,
they're pretty overvalued.
Like Tesla, I was seeing a thing where it shows, so they're like twice the value of Toyota, which sells like 6 times the number of vehicles. And I was seeing a lot of the vehicles, like Toyota had a better margin on a lot of their vehicles, for God's sakes. Like it's so much hype. Like, you know, I'm not some like, you know, fucking pinko commie fucking the market is a lie kind of motherfucker.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hype that kind of drives a lot of the valuation.
Well, you mean OpenAI's lost a lot of value recently too, partially because of the crazy WorldCoin shit. But which is funny because it shouldn't directly affect OpenAI, but I guess just because Sam Altman's
perceptual
with it, it's all.
Think about it, that's what it is.
If anything, that's more evidence to what you're saying, which is that it's not contingent upon the value of the actual company. It's like
it's our perception of its future value, which is rooted in our, you know, preconceptions as to what will be the source of value, right? So we're saying, oh, AI is going to solve everything, and it's fucking, you know, computers are thinking now, right? So pump a bunch of money, and then we go, oh, look, it can't even fucking like write a fucking knock joke. Like, God damn. Like, part of it is just the wide ignorance of technology, and like, not even just technology, because it's like the technologists are the most ignorant at this point of a lot of like, they don't understand what cognition is. I wish I had it up in front of me, but I was seeing this. I was reading this really jank ass, looked like it was written by ChatGPT article where it's like, it said something along the lines of, so we know that computers are more smarter than people now, or something like that. I'm like, what? Are you, I mean, smarter than you? Yeah, sure. The guy that wrote this, okay, I believe that because you fucking breathe through your mouth at the best of times. But anyways, that's my techno cynicism. Yeah, that was it. They were talking about some people who are cynics about fucking technology. It's like, and it was just like quoting somebody who's like, oh, this isn't cognition. Like, this just isn't, that's not cynicism. That's just basic understanding of definitions of words. Like, no, sorry, a fucking large language model is not a cognitive process or entity, right?
Like, is your calculator smarter than you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it can find the square root of 1 billion in a second.
Oh, well, shit. Calculators are thinking beings now.
I guess I should have pointed to the
It's no, Aaron, you don't understand. The calculator is learning from its experience of calculating other numbers. That's how it's learning.
It's learning. It's experiencing. It's going out into the world and it's experiencing this world for itself. Yeah, give me a fucking break.
That's just an endless bottomless hole of content.
Is it
memeing on AI generated shit?
Oh, just jank all around. It's, you know, the fucking famous, there's the it's actually a famous intellectual concept, but Jordan Peterson famously has this thing where he's like, it's turtles all the way down, right? It's jank all the fucking way down.
All the way down. Yeah.
So, but so let's look at some other things. The Nobel Foundation. I showed you that shit, right?
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the Nobel Foundation, after the Russian aggression began last year, they booted Russian and Belarusian attendance from their Nobel Prize ceremonies. And so I guess they chose to re-invite them this year because I guess the idea was it would, you know, they need to be exposed to culture or something to know, oh yeah, that's right, we can be good guys. Or I don't know what the fucking naive nonsense was going through the Nobel Prize Committee, but the King of Sweden, because it's a Swedish prize, the King of Sweden said he would not attend if Russia and Belarus were invited. So the Nobel Peace Prize, or the Nobel Prize Committee, withdrew their
Nobel Priest Prize would be a very
Priest Prize.
I mean, I don't know about that one. Yikes.
I think Sweden's a Protestant majority state, luckily enough. So, not that I got anything wrong with the Catholics. Although, actually, I don't know if you saw the fucking Pope recently has been saying some dumbass shit.
Oh, God. Do I even want to know?
Well, first he said, hey, Russians should think about their great heritage of like people like Catherine the Great, who, conquered, yeah. And then he went to Mongolia and was talking about, I don't even know if this might have been actually just satire, but he was talking about like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't even know.
You look like you're full on like just crazy mode. You're just like losing it. You push your hat down at the perfect moment that you just like, you look like a loon.
Well, I mean, we've come a long way from Pope John Paul II, who stared the Soviet Empire down, and fucking, the good Polish
W.
Yeah, big W from him. Not a big fan of Benedict the 16th because he was a bit of a fucking nut job, but yeah, like Francis, Francis was supposed to be the woke pope, right? But
Woke Pope.
apparently he's the fucking
right.
Vatnik pope, So yeah, go woke, go broke, I guess you could say, right?
I guess even a woke pope is wrong twice a day.
Yeah. No, he's wrong a lot. No, yeah, I've soured on the where's he? I think he was Argentinian actually, which I mean sounds cool, but when you consider the fact, because I don't know if you know this, but like 95% of the percent or more of the popes in history have been Italian popes.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not super surprised by that.
But it's kind of like, yeah. So it's like when you had guys like I said, John Paul II, he was Polish. Benedict the 16th was the German. I think he was Cardinal Ratzinger before he took on his papal name. But this pope is in Argentine. But then you realize, oh wait, what's the largest ethnic group in Argentina? Italians. So
Actually?
It's like, yeah, literally, yes,
Oh,
it is.
shit, okay.
Yeah, it's quite
Well, never
interesting,
mind then.
actually. Yeah, so it's like, okay, so you just picked like a New World Italian, like, it's like, oh, now we're going to have an American pope, Tony Soprano.
Yeah, true. Oh, jeez.
Hey, he's going to speak. Hey, Russia, think about your good history or think about the gabagool. Anyways,
I've
okay.
got a package I need you to hold on for me.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the one. Maybe he's the one that put the fucking container into Prigozhin's fucking plane, eh?
Oh, I heard the funniest joke. No, you sent me that. Wasn't it you?
Probably.
The guy where it was, oh yeah, the Armenian prime minister.
No, Albanian.
Albanian. Oh my God, that was so funny.
It was great. Yeah, it's a little bit long, so I don't know if it's worth telling it. I don't think we would do it justice, but it was fucking hilarious. Basically, it was like, it had to do with the fact, they wanted to unify the time zones because there's 9 time zones, and it was like,
He's like, somebody's complaining to Putin saying like, oh, I call these people at the other side of the country and I say good morning, but it's already nighttime. Or I say have a good night, but it's the morning, they're on the beach. And Putin's like, yeah, I have the same problem. Like I called Prigozhin's family to apologize, but the plane hadn't taken off yet.
yeah, it was good.
This is the I keep wanting to say Armenian, Albanian prime minister saying this.
Yeah, Albanian W. Well, they're a NATO
God.
state. They're a NATO state. They
got a weird flag, man. I don't normally. I'm not a big vexillology guy. Oh, I love that word. Study of flags. I think they had a weird flag. It looks like some shit out of G.I. Joe. It looks like it'd be like the Cobra logo, or like Hydra. Like Captain America's Hydra.
Definitely interesting. Albania is one of those countries that are like really unique. Like their language is super unique. I think it might be even a language isolate or something like that. They're Muslims too, Muslim majority state. Very interesting culture, very interesting country. And Albanians, because the whole like Kosovo was created as an Albanian majority state out of the Yugoslav whole thing. So that's a whole thing, fucking Kosovo, yes, Serbia, L,
Kosovo W.
Yeah. Kosovo big W. Fucking we stand with Kosovo up in here, boy. Don't get it twisted. We recognize Kosovo as a sovereign state here.
If any single person understands that part, please let us know.
Yeah,
in the
so
comments.
we've alienated the Austrians and now we've alienated the Serbians. So I still don't give a shit. But
fair enough. Jesus.
And you know what? For good measure, fuck Hungary too.
Hey.
Oh yeah,
careful.
Well, I mean, you know what? They could get back on the good side, but as of right now, they've got a total fucking goofball running them, and I mean, you see that fucking the whole Tucker Carlson thing kind of has to. He recently interviewed Viktor Orban, the prime minister of
Really?
Hungary. Yeah,
Oh,
because because Tucker Carlson is the fucking Vatican chief of the American far right now, and yeah, he interviewed, and he said fucking Viktor Orban was like, oh, Donald Trump needs to be elected so that we can avert World War III because basically we need to fucking open up our assholes for Vladimir Putin, I guess is basically the idea. So yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck Tucker Carlson. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Vivek Ramaswamy while we're at it.
Fair.
So yeah.
Well, on a bit of a lighter note, speaking of asshole, do you remember the chess cheating controversy from several months ago?
Remind me.
With Grandmaster, I think he's a Grandmaster Hans Niemann, where he was accused of cheating, and some people were saying that the only way he could have cheated was with vibrating anal beads. So it's like
knight to e5 or what?
E5. Yeah. Oh, E4, dad. Yeah. Anyway, he was playing in a tournament, and he's this up and coming grandmaster, young American guy.
Is that up and coming thing does that relate to the anal beads or? Sorry, it was wide open. Apparently just like I'm not even gonna finish that sentence.
Ah, God. Well, all right. Well, anyway, so he was this up and coming grandmaster, really solid chess player. He was playing in a tournament. He played against Magnus Carlsen, who was the world #1 at the time. Maybe even still is at the time of recording. I can't keep track of this shit, but basically he pretty handily beat Carlsen, and Carlsen was like, he was very subtle about it, but he was basically interviewed after the game, and he was like, he said, I can't say anything. Sorry, I can't talk about it. I'll get in trouble. Like he retweeted this old tweet from a soccer coach or something who was like the guy had said like, I can't speak. If I speak, I'm in trouble, so I can't speak. Because he basically had an opinion on something, but he didn't want to get fined for it or whatever. So he's insinuating that Niemann cheated, but he never said it outright. And so people are speculating, and there's this big drama around it. And after a while, he eventually made a public statement. Carlsen made a public statement saying, "Oh, Hans Niemann, we know he's cheated online because he's admitted to it. He's been caught for it." And he basically said, like, I suspect that he's cheated more than he admits to, and I don't want to play with him anymore. And there's a whole bunch of drama surrounding this, like where there's a tournament where he, I'm torn on Carlsen's actions, like whether or not I support them or don't support them. It's a tricky situation because on the one hand, it's very unsportsmanlike, but on the other, if you genuinely believe someone is cheating, you should have the right to act on that belief, like tell people about it, express your concern. But it's tricky, right? Because what if there's no evidence for them cheating? You're just kind of fucking them over. But there was a tournament where he had to play against Niemann, and he couldn't drop out of I guess it was too late to drop out of the tournament or something, but when it came to his game against Niemann, he made like 2 moves and resigned. Just as like I'm not going to play you kind of thing. And like everyone was so like, anyway, it was like the biggest chess drama. I think it might have been the first actual chess drama that's like ever happened. So it was a big thing for a while. And then Hikaru Nakamura, who's a big streamer and grandmaster, he also gone into the dialogue saying like he thought Niemann was a cheater and all this kind of shit. And Niemann sued. He sued chess.com, they produced a report saying they believed that he had cheated more than he's admitted digitally based on their records of him playing on the site, and they banned him from the site. And there's some weird shit there too, because I think chess.com was in talks to purchase Magnus Carlsen's chess company.
Oh yeah, a little bit of a conflict there.
Yeah, conflict of interest. So he sued chess.com, he sued Nakamura, he sued Carlsen, all in this one big suit for $100 million.
Whew.
Yeah, crazy. That's like XQC kick contract.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like probably the value of like every chess player on the planet combined.
Oh yeah, probably for a couple of years at least, decades. So that lawsuit had been going on for a while. I say going on, it was kind of stagnant, like it hadn't really progressed. But just recently, there's some news that came out. So I'll read you the title of this article. Hans Niemann, reinstated by chess.com, vows to become best player in the world after alleged cheating scandal. So basically, a judge dismissed the suit, and they reached an agreement. Like Niemann and Niemann's lawyers reached an agreement with chess.com and the other parties to basically kind of say like, okay, we'll stop, but like reinstate him so he can keep playing on chess.com. It's the biggest chess website in the world. And they reach kind of like a mutual conclusion to things. So it's kind of over. Like the scandal itself is over. Carlson released a statement. He said that, what did he say? I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something to the effect of like, I'm glad it's over kind of thing. And Niemann is like, I gotta find this quote that he says. He says, I'm pleased that my lawsuit against Magnus Carlsen and chess.com has been resolved in a mutually acceptable manner and that I'm returning to chess.com. I look forward to competing against Magnus in chess rather than in court. It's like a nice little thing. And then he released this video where he says like, there will be a day when I will be the best chess player in the world. And I think it's time to let my chess speak for itself. So that's actually a reference because one of the things that was against him in this whole cheating scandal, people thought he was a cheater, is that his post-game analysis is pretty brutal, pretty terrible. So a lot of grandmasters, if they play a game and then you ask them after the game, you say, on move 20, you had E5, or that's a terrible example, but like you had, this particular move, how come you didn't follow this line? And they'll take a second to be like, yeah, so I thought that if I followed this, it wouldn't be good because this, and they can provide pretty good post-game analysis on why they did or didn't make certain decisions. And his post-game analysis is brutal, bad. Now, that being said, there are grandmasters who have poor post-game analysis in the sense that they can't communicate well to people.
Communicate well, or even necessarily could also be a memory issue where it's kind of like, I don't know what I was fucking thinking at that moment. I was just playing fucking chess.
But that's rare for chess players, right? For grandmaster level chess players, it's rare.
I would agree, but I think that there's a bit of a sort of like a confusing two different skills issue going on.
Well,
there.
kind of like the vaccine guy or the debate thing where they're like, oh, come debate. And he's like, I'm a fucking immunologist. I'm not a fucking public
podcaster.
Yeah. But so there was this, he did a post-game analysis and it was bad. And then after that, he decided, I'm just not going to do post-game analysis anymore because people are just going to shit on me, which like fair, like good, like you don't have to, right? So he was interviewed after game and they started asking a question. And he's like, chess speaks for itself. And he walked away.
Chess speaks for itself. Had he won that game?
I don't even know. I think so. I think he did.
So that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I think he won. He's like, chess speaks for itself, and just like walks off and like went to the bathroom. But the funny thing is,
all right, it went from being cool to pathetic when he went to go hide in the stall.
Well, he might not. I'm pretty sure he was going to the bathroom. Citation needed. He may not have been, but like.
Chess speaks for itself, and my IBS is acting up.
Well, the joke was more chess speaks for itself, and I gotta evacuate some technology out of my fucking butthole right now.
Oh fuck! Was that line sent to him in Morse code into the anal bead or what? Chess speaks for itself. Battery low. Battery low.
Network connectivity issues. My next move is network connectivity. It's like there's a line from Parks and Rec where what's the guy who plays Star-Lord?
Oh wow,
Chris something. He's one of the many Hollywood Chris's. Anyway, there's a line that he in one of the episodes that he improv'd where he's like, hey, I looked up your symptoms and it says you have network connectivity issues.
Yeah. That was a brilliant line. That was actually an ad-lib line completely. Yeah. People were like cracking up. So obviously a fucking hilarious guy.
Oh, he's funny, man. He's really funny.
He did a great job with that role. He definitely plays a dumb guy well, which indicates to me that he's not particularly dumb.
Oh, of course.
Like I think he must be like I haven't seen much of him speaking in other contexts, but I get the sense he's a pretty fucking with it kind of guy.
Yeah, I really like actors and actresses like that where they play a character who's like not intelligent, but it's funny. It's like in order to play that character, you actually do need to be intelligent enough to kind of deliver correctly, deliver the line correctly, and so.
Well, he thought of that line. Like, that's brilliant. And he's definitely, I mean, everybody on Parks and Rec is fucking, fucking that show is like, killer.
Yeah,
Killer.
that's a legendary show.
Yeah. So maybe one last thing or what?
Yeah, sure, we got time.
So you sent me some stuff about well, I should say President Biden went down to survey the damage inflicted by Hurricane Idalia.
Yes.
And
yes.
the governor of Florida, who is running for president, Tom DeSanctimonious. I mean, wait, did I say it's Tom?
Tom. Run
Ron
DeSanctimonious.
DeSanctimonious.
Run.
At least it's not Ada Hutchinson.
Oh God, I cannot the stuff that he gets away with saying is just wild at this point, right?
Well, but part of that too, yeah.
Just for anyone who doesn't know, Trump was talking about Asa Hutchinson, and he was like to Tucker Carlson, he was like, "I call him Ada. I call him Ada. I can't say why. I'll get in trouble. But I call him Ada." And it's very clearly ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. Like he's basically calling the guy like mentally disabled.
The R word.
Yeah.
He's
A lobotomite.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's our patented euphemism for until that.
Yeah, and because I'm not allowed to say the R word, which whatever, fair. What were we talking about? Oh yeah,
Biden
Ron.
DeSantis. Yeah, we got so caught up on our Ada shit.
Yeah, where he snubbed Biden, like he didn't go. Biden came down to check shit out and be like, "What's going on?"
And the governor always goes and does it, but there's a couple of reasons why that happened. It's really quite an unfortunate thing. Rick Scott went and met with Biden, so that's the junior senator from Florida. I think he was actually the previous governor before DeSanctimonious. You know what? We really shouldn't be using Trump developer.
No, we should not.
But it's kind of hard not to. But I mean, Ron DeSantis, I have a particular antipathy for a number of reasons. But yeah, so I really do think that it's very unfortunate that the politicization of these sorts of events, especially after like everybody on the right was like, it took Biden 2 weeks to go to Maui. What the fuck? And then he goes to Florida. He's like, why is he going to Florida? He's getting in the way of everything. It's like, well, what do you want the guy to do?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that, people talk about Trump derangement syndrome, and there's a real Biden derangement syndrome on the right that we've seen develop where it's like everything is just fucking triggering to them. Like it's so transparently weak. This drives me bonkers. It's like,
yeah. Well, the thing about this too is like, I have to admit that I don't know enough to know whether or not DeSantis's claim about why is valid or not. Like, because he says that because his response was, or his spokesperson said, "We don't have any plans for the governor to meet with the president in these rural communities, and so soon after impact, the security preparations that would go into setting up such a meeting would shut down ongoing recovery efforts." And it's like, okay, I don't think they would shut down recovery efforts, but I could see the argument that like there are security considerations to be made in such a meeting.
And you want to worry about making sure you don't impact recovery efforts.
Yeah.
That is definitely a potentiality. I mean, he did coordinate with the administration in making sure that wasn't the case. He sat down with FEMA guys, and I think, on his own state response to Idalia, he's apparently done a pretty good job. You know what I mean? Like, which is demonstrative. One of the reasons I'm willing to say that is because I don't believe in just fucking dragging political people we see as our political opponents saying everything they did was wrong. No, I think that Ron DeSantis, is capable of doing some pretty effective governing, even though he's also capable of really fucking up too. I could get into that, but I won't. But yeah, I mean, it's very much, very like, that if he had done it, I do think that this is a product of the Republican political space where it's like, had he met with them, his opponents in the campaign would have jumped on it. Like there's
oh,
you're meeting with Biden, blah blah blah. And there was a big thing where Christie met with Obama and was very thankful to Obama that got him a bunch of flack on the right when it would have been Hurricane Sandy. This was several years ago because Christie was the governor of New Jersey at the time, and so. Yeah, so I mean, I think he was kind of worried about a repeat of that situation, but also, and you sent me that image from Ian. I think
Hurricane
he was also
Ian, yeah, where he's like,
Biden's chumming it up. Everyone's like, yeah, fucking right.
Like sadly walking away or something. You know what that reminds me of? That meme where it's like the guy standing in the corner and he's like, they don't know I'm X or whatever. Like, they don't know I'm the governor or some shit. I don't know. We'll make something funny.
But you know what? His retail politics skills. Like Biden is just a legitimately like, amicable sort of guy. You fucking, hey, what's up? hey, Jack, I tell you the story about, corn pop or what? Like,
yeah,
he's
several
like,
several times, Joe.
yeah, but it's like, you choose a cut. He's a guy, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, I'd go for a beer with Joe Biden, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I think anybody that isn't completely ruined by partisanship would. And it actually, interestingly enough, kind of pivoting in a way, speaking about DeSantis's political, capacities, DeSantis is really trying to go with, he's really trying to do the populist right and almost authoritarian right stuff where he's like ban books and, go after Disney and go after, LGBTQ and all this stuff, right? But he's not really like hitting the mark with the show. Like, this is kind of something that I heard, I think it was on Charlie Sykes' podcast. They were talking about the fact that one of the reasons Vivek Ramaswamy is doing as well as he is, because he brings the show. You know what I mean? Apparently, I think it might have been the Tucker interview, Trump was asked about having Vivek as his VP. And Trump was like, well, some of the things that he's been saying is a little controversial. Can you imagine Donald Trump saying that about what you got to say? Just shows. But no, I mean, it's straight up. Vivek is a fucking Vatnik goofball. Like, I agree. But he brings the show. Like, he's entertaining. Although I think that he's also fucking kind of like a smarmy, like, Ivy League asshole, and it shows. I think that
There was a tweet that I saw that was like explaining how he got to where he is, and he basically like
he did a pump and dump scheme.
dumped a fucking tech company.
It was a pharmaceutical company, actually. It was.
I mean, these days I think
yeah.
they're pretty similar.
Yeah, he bought a company that had a drug. It was
they
Alzheimer's
failed 4 drug trials.
Yeah, it failed.
He bought them,
hyped him up, and then him and his family sold off $2 billion worth of shares from the company.
and then they failed their 5th drug trial and collapsed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh yeah, no, he's a fucking snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too. I mean, that's the problem with being guided purely by partisan ideological blinders, is that anybody that tells me what I want to hear, I'm with.
They're my guy.
They're my guy. And so you're just going to keep getting ripped off, right? Because, that guy said all the right things. And so, I mean, we see this with any sort of like ideologically sort of dogmatic group where bad actors are able to really succeed among them. And we go, well, why was there this like, this sex scandal in this evangelical church? Why was there this? Why was there that? Part of it is well, you don't firstly in a authoritarian oriented political and social culture, you don't question authority, you just abide by it. And these people have demonstrated their ideological bona fides, if you will. And so you don't question them. You go, my guy, like you said, that's our guy, right? So you instead you make excuses and you defend each and every provocation, each assault on norms, right? And we've seen this with Trump, and this is why we're kind of in a dangerous space in politics right now, because we're really at this point where people are just motivated very much by just grievance and tribalistic, our side, your side sort of feeling. But I really do have hope, like looking at this picture of the guy, with Biden got his arm around the chick, and there's the husband's like with the Florida cracker shirt. He's like, yeah, what's up? Like, obviously, like probably a guy that voted for Trump. Like, he looks like a Trump voter. Maybe I'm just being a stereotypical fucking guy, but he's like a guy with the, like, he looks like,
I mean, it's fucking Florida, dude.
Yeah,
like, you're probably guessing right.
Yeah, well, you see that. Well, he's wearing a thing that says "I'm a cracker" on it, right? But he's also looks like, I don't know if you've ever seen those things where there's like always like, how do you know you're a Trump supporter? And then it shows like 30 pictures of people who are taking like a selfie in a truck with the sunglasses and a hat, and there's like they all look the exact fucking same. He literally is that guy.
Yeah, it's like the blue hair meme that Destiny does.
Yes,
where he's like, "Oh, I have blue hair, like I'm a cucked lib or something."
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. Same sort of thing, but like, but we need to I was reading something today. I think it was from a Substack that I follow called Persuasion, and it was from this guy. His experience was he grew up in kind of like a like a middle class American home, religious, hard work, American work ethic, that sort of stuff. Your traditional morality, if you will. Went to college,
American dream.
Yeah, went to college, was exposed to more liberal ideas, but everybody had a pretty similar still sort of living philosophy of like work hard, treat people well, et cetera, et cetera. So really similar sort of went to the Air Force, now more of a conservative milieu, but again, work hard, duty, honor, that sort of stuff, right? And then eventually, he worked at like a clean tech company, similar thing, left wing, but again, very, hardworking, honest, decent folk, you know what I mean? And then, he went to, he noticed a change. It was around 2016, 2017. He went to take some sort of graduate program at like Harvard or something. And it was very much like people were much more hardened into like a much more rejecting of these traditional values on both the right and the left. Like in this case, it's mostly left-wing people rejecting it, but we're seeing this sort of rejection happening broadly speaking. And, it really is important that we come back to like this place where it's like, no, we share values. Like treat people like that's the thing. I meet people who, if we were to talk politics long enough, we'd realize we're, on the other side of a lot of certain political things, but we meet on the street and we're like, hey, how you doing? Like we're both Canadian, Western Canadian, red-blooded, guys, like, chew the cud, like, wait, what's up? How you doing? You know what I mean? Like, that's how we should be living. That's what our world should look like. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't be separated on all these silly lines, right? But we're hardening into these like tribes. And it's just, that's what this whole DeSantis snubbing Biden thing is about.
Yeah.
Right. Is saying, and instead what you should be saying is, you know what? That's my president. Even if I don't agree with him, even if I'm running to replace him, that's my president. And I kind of, to a degree, I kind of get it on the right, because on the left, and I'm part of this too. We largely rejected Trump, and but the problem is the unwillingness to admit that there's something different about Trump. There just is something different about an authoritarian who says we need to tear away all the norms. And this is one of the reasons we're really where we're at, where people are just like, I don't know if you saw the one, but there's this person where it's like, I don't even remember what the context was, but it was like this person, it was like brought it to like a kid's baseball game. It's this big thing with like a big hairy penis and balls. And it's like, Joe Biden can suck my cock or some shit. Fuck? Right? And and meanwhile, these are the people that are saying they're sexualizing our kids, but they're like literally like,
what the hell are you doing?
But like, like this sort of culture of just like not giving a fuck, just no decency whatsoever. Like
the irony of it being at a team sports game.
Yeah.
Is not lost on me.
No, exactly. And we got to reject it. We got to find a way. It's one country. Whether you're Canada, United States, it's one country. You know what I mean? That you live in. We're all in this together. There's always been extreme fringes on both sides. There's always been nut jobs. There's always been craziness. But for the most part, we need to realize like the broad mass of people, see eye to eye on most things. Don't cut me off in traffic. Fucking say what's up to your neighbor. You know what I mean? Like these norms of society, like these traditional values. It's funny, like I'm probably not what one would imagine as a person to be railing in favor of traditional values, but really I am. I'm like, these are the traditional values of our society, and we're moving away from it. It's sad. It's sad. So on that very bright,
I do have one more thing I gotta say.
Okay, let's do it.
It is another politics thing, and I promise you, I'm completely bipartisan in my opinion on this, and it's Mitch McConnell. This guy having 2 straight up absent seizures at a podium, just being asked a question, just like ghosting out like he's having a Nam flashback.
Yeah.
And for like a minute straight of just staring blankly into the distance.
His most recent one, yeah. Ironically, I don't know if you saw the question was asked, but it was asked, "Are you going to be running for re-election?"
Yeah, that was the second one. That was the second time that happened. Yeah. And this motherfucker got medically cleared to continue doing its job. And I'm so sick of this. Like, I have to be clear about this. I'm not like
you hate old people. Right?
I hate old people. Put them in homes. All of them, you reach a certain age, you get all your freedoms taken away from you. Yeah. No, that's not what I believe. But in this case,
don't worry, I'm going to quote mine and make it look like you do believe that.
Sure, thanks. Appreciate that. In this case, it's like, okay, this person is very clearly suffering. It's not just that they can't do their job well enough. This is a suffering state. A person in this state, like, they shouldn't. It's like there was. This is maybe a rough comparison, but a long time ago, there was this guy, a cab driver guy. He was a really nice guy. I didn't get his name, and I wish I had, but he picked me up and he was taking me to like the grocery store or something. I was just chatting him up, and it's a really nice guy, making good conversation. And at one point, I asked him, I was like, "Do you like being a cab driver? Like, do you like doing this?" And he was like, "Honestly, I fucking hate it, but I gotta make money." And I was like, "Man, like, it sucked," because I was like, you know what? You're a really good cab driver. You're a really nice person. You're great to talk to. I don't think anyone should ever have to do this job that you're doing. This is fucking bullshit. Like, there might be parts about it that you like, but like, it's like,
It's a job you do. It's not a job you're like,
yeah,
I'm going to be a cab driver. Although I would say that there's certain examples, like, I don't know if you know much about the black cabs in London, but there's this whole test about it, and there's a lot of prestige around being a driver of a black cab in London and stuff. So there are...
I'm sure there is some to some extent, but like,
But for the most part, motherfuckers, it's like being a skip the dishes guy. Like, you're
it's like
doing it to fucking pay for your car.
Yeah, and so
live.
it's almost like this guy is in this position where it's like, even if, like, man, just let the man retire. Like, dude, just retire. Like, stop. Look, wait, your body is collapsing. Your brain is collapsing. Like, this is not like people see like Trump drink water badly or Biden trip up some stairs. Like, this man, he was frozen solid for 30 seconds. Like, this, there's no debating this.
Look like he's just got a look of Medusa.
Yeah, like,
just
this is
went
like
to stone.
It made me a little bit sad, actually, because like it reminds me of grandparents. It reminds me of when I've had grandparents who've passed away, and you see them before they pass away, and it's like, holy fuck, man! Like,
time has caught up with them.
So it hurts. It hurts to see that person you love like that. And this is not a person I love. It's Mitch McConnell. But like, to see, and then it just be like, and then to see later on, then it's like, all right, cleared for active duty. Let's go back to the office.
So
like,
I'm gonna have to push back a little bit because there's a couple of things here. Although I generally agree with the fact that he likely should retire, but one thing I will say is on the point about liking what you do. One of the issues here is he in fact obviously loves what he does, and one of the reasons that he's still there is he wants to be, you know, the longest sitting majority leader, Senate majority leader in history or something, right? Like he loves his job. He's been in the Senate for a million fucking years, right? The medical clearance thing. Okay, so what do you need to be medically cleared to be a senator? Well, I mean, do you fucking have a heart attack when you go up the stairs? No. Okay, you're pretty much good to be a senator. Even with this stuff when it's like, you know, he froze up for 30 seconds. That's, you know, not good. Politically, it doesn't look good. It doesn't mean he's going to run well in an election, but it actually doesn't even necessarily impede, just like with Joe Biden, that sort of stuff. When you're making decisions, you need to take your time, and decisions, like, it doesn't actually indicate that he's going to make bad decisions per se. All it indicates is his inability to rapidly respond to things in real time, which isn't necessarily related to the core elements of his job.
Yeah, I don't know though, because it can't be the case that it doesn't speak to your cognitive ability being in decline.
Well, again, but kind of like this other thing where it's like, you know, Buddy couldn't analyze the chess moves, but he can play the chess. We don't want to confuse distinct but related cognitive processes. Right. And we're talking about also, you've talked about the slow brain, fast brain thing. This is very much the thing where the real job of being a senator or being a president is a lot of slow brain stuff. Right. It's like, take your time, listen to a lot of people, don't rush a decision. The political stuff, the stump speech and speaking before the people, that's fast brain stuff where it's like, okay, we're getting questions. I got to be quick. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would say that there's a little bit of a distinction there between what's going on there. And then just to kind of be fair to the guy, he recently was concussed. So after coming out of a concussion, this isn't abnormal, even for people younger than him, to, like, you have a severe concussion, you're going to be a little bit dough-brained coming out of that shit, you know? And just from my own personal note, I mean, all the post stuff that I do makes it not apparent, but like, you see me sitting here being like, what do you call that? Fingers. I have 5 fingers on this hand, right? So, and I mean, that's more a fucking dope smokery issue than anything else. But, you know, like, I kind of got a little bit of empathy for the guy on that front, because I'm like, well, I'm not always, you know, right up.
Yeah, I guess I'd medically clear you for the podcast. Yeah. So I guess maybe it's not that different. It's just, I have a really hard time believing that it's not a reflection of the general cognitive state of a person, you know? Like, I'm not saying, you know, take away the old people's licenses. Like, that's bullshit. I'm just saying that like when you get to a certain point, if your body, because your brain is your body, right? Like it's, you know, if it can't do the thing, don't do the thing. Like, do you know what I mean? And I guess I understand what you're saying about the comparison, but I have a hard time believing that someone has that is happening to them. Like it's like, what's to say that he couldn't be in a fugue state and just make a ridiculously bad decision? You know, like what's to say that he couldn't have a similar symptom that's not exactly that, but
unlike
like
the president, the Senate, as majority leader of the Senate, there isn't really a lot of risk of him like being like, you know, fuck it, we're going in, boys. Like he doesn't really have those powers, right?
But still, any decision, you know,
yeah.
like
I think you're touching on something important though, and a lot of people talk about it because it's not just him. It's like another person that's widely talked about is Senator Feinstein from California. She's really gotten up there in age. She recently recovered from shingles, and since then it's been pretty clear that she's really been. Age has caught up with her, and you know, with people, it's like you're fine and you're with it, and then suddenly all of a sudden it really catches up with you. And you're like, wow, this person's. I've seen that with my own family members where it's like you're suddenly different, like you're not quite where you were, right? And so this broader issue of what's called the gerontocracy, the rule of the old, you know, there's something to be said about that. But even then, I got to say, well, on one hand, I agree. Like we need fresh blood, we need youthful vigor, but I also think that there's an element where we're kind of moving away from our traditional values in a way, where our traditional values are like, we respect the wisdom of age. We respect experience. There's a reason we talk about there being elder statesmen, elder statespeople, right? It's like, that's historically, that's a good thing. That's what in our mind is like, oh, Benjamin Franklin, you know, like fucking, you know, elder statesman, like, you know, that's the guy, you know, that's our rock, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I worry that there's a degree to which, you know, our social media, go, highly visual, highly image oriented, a situation in which Vivek Ramaswamy is, you know, the it boy because he can talk really fast and has this cute little smile, right? And it's like style over substance. You know, I worry about moving too far in that direction, even though I think there is something to be said about gerontocracy. On a serious note, though, I think the determining factor, you know, when people just get to an age where they just start to have like this weird smell, I think that should be the determinant.
The smell test.
The moment you start like, okay, the
like
Senate
mothballs.
the Senate chamber's just starting to smell like got that old people smell. Okay, you know what? Time for some fresh blood, boys. Mitch, get the fuck out of here. You stink, dog. I don't care that you're fucking gone mute, okay? But you stink.
Yeah, you go into the lunchroom and there's like a tin of cookies and you open it. It's just a sewing kit. Like, fuck! All right, you're all out of here. Get out. This is a disgrace. Well, I think that's probably as good a place as any for us to call it. So, thank you so much for sticking around with us. If this is the kind of content you like, please subscribe, give us a like. We are here every week. If you have any questions, critiques, or citations that we desperately needed, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Welcome to the fucking podcast.